is Joe Leigh here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Shannon Ryan, undefeated professional female boxer. First time actually speaking to you as an interview. How are you? How's things with you?
Finished training? Yeah, I'm good. Training's good. Back in camp now. Getting ready for 3-0.
Yeah, of course. That's the main thing. To be in camp consistently at this stage of your career is important. When's the date then? Do you have an announcement or?
It's coming. No, there's a date. I'm just waiting for that to be announced.
Good. Are we going to see September the Marshall Shields card? Obviously all female. I feel like I have to ask. I saw you at the press conference as well.
Yeah, I went to the press conference to support it. But in terms of that one, I'm not sure. I'm just waiting for an announcement.
Okay. How's it been managed by 258, etc.? Obviously, it's up and coming, certainly in the management world. We're seeing so many more fighters being managed by the guys there now.
Yeah, no, it's good. So far, they're doing really well with my career. You know, we get on and we share the same vision, you know, what I want to do in the sport. I've relayed that back to them and we're really working on that to have a really good career.
What did you make of the first two fights then? Let's talk back through that. Obviously 2-0, you've turned professional this year.
Mm-hmm. So the first one, I thought it was a really good performance. Do you know what I mean? Everything from the fight week to the actual debut, you know, a lot of people would get really nervous under the lights. And of course I was nervous, but I thought I channeled it very well and displayed a good performance. And then moving on to the second one, I think people saw some improvements. I certainly saw some improvements, you know, from just slowing down a little bit to sitting down on the shots. Again, I wanted both opponents to throw more shots back, but I think it's what I displayed kind of stopped them from doing that.
Yeah, what I think is important, as you just said in your first fight, is you dealt with the pressure under the lights, being your pro debut. That will help you going into the big fights later on in your career, being able to deal with those brighter lights and the big occasions.
Yeah, and I think people need to remember as well, like I started boxing in August 2018. We are now July 2022. So that is a short time. Like, of course, I've got experience in the martial arts, but the kickboxing that I'd done before was a points fighting. You know, people think it was a K1, but it was a points fighting, which is where you stop and start. So I think my whole development over this time has been phenomenal. And my coach, Coach G, has done a great job. You know, we're training consistently from that time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
What was the switch over like from to boxing, if that makes sense? Why was that made?
It was made because I really wanted to make a career from like what I can do, and obviously fighting is what I love to do. And the kickboxing, that style, it's not in the Olympics, and you can't like get anywhere with it. So once I reached the pinnacle of that sport, I thought, you know what, it's time to, you know, move on and challenge myself. And that's when I came to the boxing.
Did you think about MMA, UFC, Bellator, anything like that?
No, I did. I was on the GB Taekwondo team. Was training to go to Tokyo, but I had a hip injury and I had to leave there. And then it was before the boxing. I did one session at London Shoe Fighters with Michael Page. But I didn't really enjoy the groundwork, so I left that, and then that's when I come to boxing.
Okay, and obviously you haven't looked back since 2-0 now. How soon are you kind of, obviously you've got a date penciled in, not announced yet, but how soon are you kind of wanting to step up the lads? Are you willing, being on Sky Sports, you don't always get necessarily like a fight every month. I was looking at AJ's, I think it was 2014 or 2015. He had like 7-8 fights. It's more difficult for you to get that being on like the big platform. I know AJ was, but it's just a different thing. How soon are you wanting to get out after every fight?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to be active. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I would like to go again. But that's obviously down to my team and coach to liaise with each other. And in terms of titles, it's just whenever I'm ready, I will go with what they say. Obviously, I'll put my input in and then we'll work as a collective to see what's the right step.
Now, this is actually a different question, an interesting question. But as soon as you've obviously mentioned coming from a different sport originally, what would you have done if women's boxing wasn't in the state it is now? So you had the kickboxing experience, taekwondo, but women's boxing, for example, there was no Katie Taylor. Would you have turned over? Would you have just given up fighting?
I I think even when I started in the amateurs, it was still on the rise. It's a lot bigger now. So I still think I would have made that move. I think because even back in 2018, it was moving.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So yeah, I think I would have still stayed on the path. I think my path has been an interesting one. Very fortunate and grateful and blessed to be where I'm at. But yeah, I definitely think I would have just followed through and just see where it went.
Yeah, for sure. Are you content in the super flyweight division?
Yeah, so obviously I can drop quite comfortably, but for now, just while we're having a few fights and gaining up the ladder, then we'll stay at super fly. And when we're ready to drop to flyweight, then we will drop. And when we're ready to move up, we'll move up.
Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. We mentioned obviously AJ and the 258 as well. Just a quick word on the rematch with Usyk. Less than a month to go now in Saudi Arabia. Just how do you see that fight going? It's a big rematch.
Yeah, I think, do you know what, it'd be very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I think AJ will take it this time. I think as you saw in the last one, the later rounds, he did start to, throw his shots and be the AJ he is. And I think if he starts like that, then he will do very well. We've done some really great stuff in the first one. But again, Usyk's going to be training hard. He's going to want to win. But I do think AJ will come out on top.
Okay, then from a women's boxing perspective, just a Shields Marshall little prediction from yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Again, that one is going to be interesting. There's fireworks going for that. Yeah. But again, I think Claressa takes it. I think they're both brilliant boxers, fighters. Both got great mentality. They both want to win. But again, I just personally think Savannah in the early rounds, and then I think Claressa Shields, as the rounds go on, will take over and dominate the fight.
Well, are we going to see you in kind of firework affairs, pre-fight build-ups, etc.? Because, obviously still early on in your career, but do you plan on being a respectful opponent, or do you understand the game in a sense?
Yeah, I understand the game. Boxing's a business at the end of the day. Everyone loves the fireworks and what goes on around the press conferences and things like that. But just the person I am, it just depends who I'm facing. I'm not someone that's going to call people out, not at this stage. Anyway, I don't need to do that. I will display my skill set on whoever's in front of me. In terms of displaying fireworks, again, it just depends on what presents itself, and then that will present what type of person I'm going to be. Yeah,
of course, that makes sense. So I look forward to seeing 3-0. Whatever card it's on, it'll be a good one. And good end to the year. Well, what are you thinking for the end of the year? Like another 3? How many do you think you could squeeze in?
I think we're looking at another 2. I'd love 3, but I think realistically we're looking at 2, and then we'll get moving next year.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.